First taste of India was a little bit bumpy. Oh my God, okay. I witnessed holy men hanging rocks from their genitals. That's something of an angle we've got there. Met the world's smallest bodybuilder. Discovered what happened when Punjab's elite police force became Weight Watchers.
You almost lost 2 tons.
2 tons. That's an elephant, isn't it? Experienced a new twist on India's most popular sport and joined a protection racket run by eunuchs. The Cray twins used to nail your head to the floor. She just takes her skirt off. For the past 3 weeks, I've been travelling the northwest of India. A memorable but hot and arid experience. So now I'm in search of the polar opposite. My destination is a remote hill station called Shillong. This area is known as the Scotland of India, and hill stations were traditionally where the British Raj went to get away from the heat. But I'd heard that years of ethnic fighting in this region have put off all but the most hardy of travellers. In fact, so pleased were they that I was coming, they've laid on this helicopter to fly me the last 60 miles high up into the Khasi Hills. Arriving in Shillong, 2 things strike me immediately. For the first time in India, I'm actually cold, and there seems to be a complete absence of a reception committee. Shillong town centre. Not quite the alpine holiday resort I was expecting. Although I've been assured that terrorist bombs are now a thing of the past here, I feel I can see suspicion etched on the faces of the locals. My local guide is supposed to be meeting me here in the market. If I live that long.
Hi.
Hi.
You're from Merton?
I am. Hello, you Prabhat?
I'm Prabhat, yeah.
Hello, Prabhat. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. Welcome to Rock City.
Thanks, Rock City. Okay, thank you very much. You're my guide, I believe.
Let's rock.
Okay, let's rock. So why is it called Rock City?
No rock, no Shillong. Subterranean is granite.
Yes.
Overground is rock.
Yes.
And roll. Yeah.
Well, I haven't got a clue what he's on about, but it's good to see a friendly face.
We always say, rock and roll was born in New Orleans, perfected in Liverpool,
Yes.
and peaked in Shillong.
It seems to me the closest Shillong gets to rock and roll is this man. Blind Lemon Squeeze Box. But Prabhat remains a Rock City zealot and is determined to get me in the groove too.
Well, no offense, yes, but you got to switch over to rock and roll.
The clothes on right?
Clothes on right. Should we go and check out?
Okay, I'm in your hands.
Look at this.
Wow, that's a whole herd of leather.
Absolutely.
I feel like I'm being drawn into some strange kind of cult.
Jackets.
Maybe this whole place has been brainwashed into believing they're the rock and roll capital of the world.
I'll try a few, yeah.
Alright. And as the only non-believer, I'm obviously a threat.
Oh, that's brilliant, absolutely. You look like Sting, you rock like Elvis.
Okay, that's good.
You sting like the king.
Excellent. I reckon Prabhat has been sent by his people to ensure I see the light.
That looks wicked, yeah.
Well, he may now have my body,
Ready to rock.
but he'll never have my soul.
Good.
Excellent. Later that night, and I've been summoned by Prabhat to Shillong's leading rock venue, Cloud9. I'm here to witness the man they call the father of Indian rock, the legendary Lou Majau. Well, my My first impression of Lou is that he's a man who's forgotten to put his trousers on. But the audience is clearly under his musical spell. Prabhat has done his work well.
You were going to sing it, oh, you're right.
It's all very curious and I'm determined to find out more.
Shillong, as you know, like, it's a rock city,
Yeah.
and Shillong rocks.
Yeah.
You know, like, when he came here, he saw Shillong. How is it?
Well, I was amazed to see how just the music is everywhere.
Well, it was lying through my teeth. This really is a strange scene.
Can I ask you, are you into rock music?
Music is really in our blood, like it's like our food, like rice.
Yes. So what happens if you live in Shillong and you don't like music?
Well, you're gonna be really screwed up.
So why do you think everyone is completely into music?
I would attribute this, I think, I'll tell you what, I would attribute this to the church singing, you know, because of the missionaries.
Oh, right, yes.
There's a lot of influence by the missionaries where, you know, church singing is like mostly in English.
Yes.
So, thanks to the missionaries, Shillong seems to have become the Nashville of Indian rock and roll. But if everyone's going to get a turn on stage, this is going to be a very long night. The following morning, and I reckon Shillong has only looked this miserable through lack of sleep. Certainly that's my excuse. I'm on my way to meet another man who I'm told was heavily instrumental in calming Shillong's warring tendencies.
And as the future keeps unfolding, and the years are moving,
When he's not rocking, Prabhat is an architect. He designed his house himself. It should be nice when it's finished.
But time waits for nobody, like the rising sun is setting. The rhythms and the sounds, they sweep through every home. So they
I've got to admit though, he plays a mean guitar. I think I may be weak in it.
in Shillong, music rolls along. How are you again, brother? Good to see you. Good to see you. Hello,
Bob. Hello, Bob. I'm Paul. Hi, pleased to meet you.
Bob is the Cabinet Minister for Higher Education.
Really? So what can you teach me?
You know, for example, sometime back, we never could celebrate the national holidays here. Independence Day, Republic Day was never celebrated in the Northeast. Because invariably one militant group or the other would always be calling a public curfew. And, you know, the one thread that unites everyone is English. So we brought a band called Aphrodisi Act from Australia. And they played at the Independence Day celebration. And we had over 15,000-20,000 kids come to attend the show. And it actually helped in building up, you know, cordial relationships between the different communities, which had broken down to a very major extent for a very long time.
Yes. So do you think that'll start a pattern with more bands coming here, more Western bands playing here?
Yeah. Hopefully, people will be too busy celebrating to fight with each other anymore. And that's what we want. That's what we'd like to see.
Yes. Yes. When he's not striving to ease ethnic tensions, Bob has another string to his bow.
Oh, look at that. Great.
The didgeridoo. Look out, Rolf Harris, at last there's a pretender to your throne. Shillong may not quite be the rock capital of the world, but who cares? It's got to be one of the most friendly and peaceful places in the whole of this troubled region. It's wonderfully refreshing to meet a politician who's so much into music. Back in home, you can't imagine any sort of minister doing that. They're usually on the fiddle.
Excellent. 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 Thank you.
I'm now heading south to Kolkata, capital of West Bengal. Home to over 15 million people, this is much more the India I know. Crowds, traffic, and unrelenting heat, and not a rocker in sight. But Kolkata boasts its own entertainment. In fact, it vies to be the cultural capital of the whole of India. So despite temperatures of over 30 degrees, I'm hitting the streets in search of the latest attraction.
Hi, I'm here to see an Indian stand-up comedian, and I don't know anything about him, and I don't really know much about Indian stand-up comedy, apart from the fact it hasn't existed for more than 3 or 4 years. So it's a very new thing, so I'm very keen to see what it's like.
তুমি দূরে দাঁড়িয়ে থেকো না, তুমি কাছে এসে জিজ্ঞেস করো কেসে, তারপর বলবো। এবার সবার সামনে একটা পোজ দিয়ে এরকম করে বলো কেসে, গিভ মি a new pose, বলো কেসে। It's the dirtiest pose I've ever seen.
Topping the bill tonight is local comedian Mia.
So, do you know the name of the person who is responsible for bird flu? It is William Shakespeare. Whenever he would have fever, they would call it bird flu. Madam, you know what's a babu, na? So babugirite amra khub bishwash kortam. She is laughing without a reason. Either she's already lost it, or somebody's mixed something in her drink.
I can see Mia knows how to work a crowd, but I do feel a bit lost in translation.
Thank you very much, and good night.
I mean, there's no reason why really stand-up comedy shouldn't sort of pick up here in India. I mean, if they're into Iron Maiden in Shillong, there's no reason why the country shouldn't get into Bernard Manning. Well, not Bernard Manning, perhaps. Ken Dodd. You know, in a few years' time, Indians will be saying to each other, how tickled I am. They won't know why, but we will. Oh, hi, Mia. Hello, I'm Paul Merton. Hello, how are you?
Paul Merton as in the Paul Merton?
No, I'm afraid I'm one of his body doubles. He couldn't make it today. It was very impressive. I really enjoyed that. It was great.
Pleasure to have you here. Welcome to Calcutta. Or should I say welcome to Kolkata.
How do you characterise Indian humour? Is there such a thing that you can say this is Indian humour, this isn't Indian humour?
Indian humour has always been represented, even outside, as we guys are inferior. We guys are on the lines of progress, but we haven't progressed. So it's like George Bush telling Lalu Prasad Yadav, who's a popular leader in Bihar, saying that you give me Bihar and I'm going to turn it into America in just 1 month. And then Lalu writes back to George Bush and says, you give me America, I will turn it into Bihar in 3 days. And I would say in India, you can be born without food, you can be born without water, you can be born without a roof over your head, but you can't be born without a sense of humor. That's inborn. That's funny. That's always there.
This morning I think it's time to explore the city's more conventional tourist attractions. Kolkata was once the capital of the Raj, but long before even the British laid claim, another power cut right through the heart of the city and its people. The legendary Ganges, or as Hindu worshippers call it, Mother Ganga. India's holiest river holds a spiritual power that draws thousands of people every day to its banks. But standing here, this is not the spiritual experience I imagined. It feels more like the local bathhouse. Maybe I came to the wrong river. But amongst all the mud and the rubble and the soapsuds, there are men and women worshipping Mother Ganga, oblivious to the chaos around them. Only the sudden surge of the tide breaks the spell.
It's very fast out here. You need to be very careful here.
Luckily for me, my new friend Mia has arrived and leads me to drier ground.
Right, and see the water's coming up, the level's coming up. See?
I'm rather so there's all sorts of activities going on here, which I'm rather perplexed about.
You have to understand that the Ganga is a very sacred river. It's supposed to be a very sacred river. And it's as important to us as you have the Thames. Okay? So this is...
So we don't think of the Thames as being sacred.
Sacred. You don't think of but it's an important river for you.
Yeah.
This is also a very important river. And what happens is people gather around this area to do lots of rites and rituals.
I see people sort of walking away with bottles filled with water from the river.
They take it home.
So that's because it's sacred water, it's a
They take
sacred
it back
river.
home.
And what do they do with it?
For instance, if someone's suffering from a disease, that person believes that this water will cure him. It's dirty, it's unhealthy, it's untidy, but then that's
But
Calcutta.
it's also sacred.
Yeah, it's also sacred. That's the belief. Very
All the sort of broken sort of pots and things here, what
Yep,
are they?
that's because, say when a person is cremated, the ashes, the urns, they brought in a pot, and that is immersed in the river. What happens during high tide, those pots, they're lighter at that time, they keep coming back to the banks, and then they get accumulated.
So basically, this is one big crematorium. But life goes on regardless. Fishing. I can't imagine they're going to catch much in this water. But I couldn't be more wrong. As the worshippers throw coins of blessing into the river, these young boys are fishing them straight out. With magnets. But no one seems to mind that they're raiding the collection box.
They're vagabonds, they don't have a steady income, so this is his way of helping the poor.
I see.
So he doesn't mind.
So he gets the blessing and also they get the money.
Absolutely.
This couple believe they've found the recipe for a perfect marriage. Take one bird, sprinkle with chalk, and then stuff with rice.
You're feeding the bird, you're giving it rice grains,
Which is spitting out, I notice.
and now they're going to release it.
Okay.
Well, the bird will certainly live happier ever after, but for this hopeful couple, the proof of the pudding is yet to come.
That's what he's saying. Like we freed a bird, may we be free of all our encumbrances, may we be free of all miseries and diseases, may we lead a healthy life together. That's what they've been praying for.
I see.
God only knows what this man prayed for.
Wow, what's he doing? Because he doesn't want to get it wet.
Football has a very rich tradition in Bengal.
Is it?
Bengalis are crazy about football.
Wow.
Turns out he already holds the Limca record for balancing on 2 footballs, 10 hours. And now I think it's gone to his head.
Does he enjoy playing football himself?
Very nice.
And what position do you play? Striker. How? Balance.
He's now engaged in setting the Limca record for balancing a football on his head. While swimming the Ganges, of course. I think he's fairly safe there. But even if he doesn't make it across, he's still a winner.
I won't say it's great to drown in the Ganges, but if you've drowned in the Ganges, you've been cleansed of all your sins.
So if you're going to drown anywhere, you might as well drown here.
God forbid.
Yes.
Maybe it's just a quirk of the people and the place, but I think Kolkata is my favourite city so far. I've had a call from Ruchira, my first guide in India. I last saw Ruchira in Ahmedabad, together with a gang of eunuch extortionists, as you do. But Ruchira was born in Kolkata, and there's something here she's very keen that I see.
Hi, hello.
Hi,
Hello, Richard. Lovely to see you again. How are you?
fine. Welcome to Apne Aap.
Thank you.
This is what I do, and this is one of our centers. I'm going to
For the past 3 years, Ruchira has run a project which attempts to rescue the young children of prostitutes from the clutches of Kolkata's red light district.
Good morning. Hello. Namaste. How long have you been coming to school here now?
तुम कितने दिन से हो स्कूल में?
5 months. They don't have much confidence at this stage.
Yes.
Because they're kept in such horrible circumstances. They are kept in small 4x4 rooms which they have to share with their mothers, with the brothel managers and the buyers of prostituted sex who come there and they actually use the beds while the children are playing on the floor.
This centre prides itself on providing opportunities for kids who would otherwise fall through the system.
See some of our students here. Good morning.
Hi, hello.
ये Paul uncle हैं.
They look like they could be school kids from anywhere in the world. But beyond the safety of these walls, their lives are very different.
ये सामने जो रेल नहीं चलता उसी का नीचे ब्रिज का नीचे.
They live in a little under a plastic sheet under the bridge near the railway line that you saw when
yes,
driving here.
yes. And have you always lived there?
तुम कहीं और भी रहती थी कि हर समय वहीं रहती थी? Always there.
And these children have no illusions as to the lives their mothers are forced to lead.
और हम लोग चाहते हैं कि वो एरिया से निकले.
She says she's very scared for her mother. Her mother lives in such a bad place. You know what the area is like, and she wants her mother to leave that area.
Without this lifeline, these girls would already have been pushed into prostitution, just like their mothers before them.
This is to give the children and the women self-confidence. Most of them are so traumatized that they begin to hate their bodies. And if we do dance and theatre, then it gives them a sense of their body's worth and they begin to like themselves again.
But it seems to me that most important of all, they're being allowed simply to be children.
Thank you.
Excellent. What is it you enjoy about dancing?
जो मन में दुख नहीं रहता है डांस करने से खुशी रहता है अच्छा लगता है.
We don't feel any unhappiness when we are dancing. We feel happy, good.
खुश रहते हैं मजा मिलता है.
She says we forget our sorrows when we are dancing and we feel happy.
You see the children here and they seem very sweet, sort of innocent kids, but they've lived a lot already, they've seen a lot, and it is shocking to think of the environments, the circumstances in which they live. And this is a small beacon of hope, this place, I think. A chance for them to see that the world isn't entirely made up of horror and sadism. And people easily bought and sold, so it shows them a window on the world. But as night falls, the real challenge for Ruchira and her team begins. Whereas most children go home to their mums after school, these children's mothers are working, and deep in the heart of Kolkata's red light district. So every evening they must run the gauntlet of organised gangs and pimps.
We can't put it past any of them to try to snatch away a child. They've threatened our social workers, they heckle them, yell at them, scream at them. So we face dangers, but there's a resolve that we have to overcome the dangers because life is going to be the way it is.
Amazingly, Ruchira has created a small refuge here amongst the brothels and gambling dens. She's had to do it so that the working mothers can at least be close to their children.
So this is where we have the night crash up here, Paul.
So in one small room, just a stone's throw from the street, the children will spend the night. Here they do their homework, eat their dinner, and if they're lucky, see their mothers. So once the children in here, they're safe, but you've got a big locked gate downstairs.
There's ever-present danger because there are predators all the time waiting to pounce on the kids.
It's a frightening situation, and I'm determined to show these kids that not all men are bad. Some are just plain daft. They may not be ready for bed yet, but I certainly am.
Bye, good night.
It strikes me that this refuge walks a frighteningly fine line between the safety of the children and the needs of their mothers. But it's a line Ruchira feels has to be walked.
Sometimes a child is the only source of affection that a prostituted mother has in her life. They want to be able to know that they can come anytime and meet their daughter, and so we have to have it here.
I see, I understand. I know these scenes are by no means unique to India, but I'm finding it hard to reconcile the gentle spiritualism and easygoing tolerance I've so far encountered with the world in which these children live. Once again, India's caught me by surprise.
2, 1, lift off. Lift off.
You're watching Discovery HD.
Saturdays on Discovery HD. The man who claims to have conquered China has his sights set on India.
Hello, I'm Paul.
British comedian and world traveler Paul Merton goes off the beaten path, exploring the unexpected and unusual sights of his India. Paul Merton in India.
I've decided to take things a little easier for a few days, so I've travelled about the furthest from Kolkata you can go. I'd heard Kerala was a paradise, and so it is, seemingly unchanged by India's commercial revolution. There are 44 different rivers here, and together they make up Kerala's 500 miles of famous backwaters. At the entrance to the Indian Ocean lies Fort Cochin, an atmospheric trading post with a long and colourful history.
Hi Paul. Hi.
You George?
I'm George, yeah.
Hello George, please speak.
And this is my trusty local guide,
Welcome to God's Own Country.
to make sure I don't get lost.
God's Own Country.
Yeah, it's called God's Own Country.
Why is it called God's Own Country?
Well, because, it's a very laid-back place, and people don't like to work really hard. And as the fruits ripen on the trees, they just fall down. They don't even climb up to pluck it, And so only God works here, That's why it's called God's Own Country.
These curious Dali-esque structures are all along the waterfront.
So these are the famous Chinese fishing nets. It was an old trading route. It was the Silk Route. And so the Chinese trading ships used to come to Cochin. So that's where this influence comes from.
So what we're seeing here is a real piece of history, living history.
Yes.
Living history or not, this seems a very complicated way to catch fish.
So what do these guys do? They lower the net into the water, they just sit around for 45 minutes, half an hour.
Yeah, just relax.
In God's own country.
God's own country, yes.
Waiting for God to put the fish into the net.
Exactly.
Well, it's a lot less arduous than being a North Sea trawlerman, but we do seem to be entirely dependent on the fish coming to us. Time to see what the Lord hath provided.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Are they disappointed with this catch? Or is this something, is this the best they've had for months?
I think it may be time to give these nets back to the Chinese. We're now heading to the old trading quarter, and these motorised rickshaws might look picturesque from where you're sitting, but at 6'2", the only view I get is the roof lining. Heaven forbid I should ever be allowed to travel in comfort and safety.
It's quite a scary ride, isn't it?
Oh yes, very scary indeed.
Do you
normally get into one of these by choice?
No, I wouldn't. I'd rather catch the bus. It's a thrilling ride, get the adrenaline rush.
A reminder that sort of we are mortal. Against all the odds, we've arrived safely at one of Cochin's spice markets.
That's the spice here.
Nearly half of the world's spices come through India.
Oh, wow.
More than £500 million worth every year.
Yes, it's an overwhelming flood of spices. So what do we have here?
This place is a total assault on the senses. The most pungent of nature's natural aromas are attacking me from every angle.
Here we have something called turmeric.
Turmeric, yes.
It's used in a lot of Indian curries as well.
I'll certainly be a well-seasoned traveller from now on.
It's beautiful.
One of the reasons why India got colonized is because of the spices. And spices were worth their weight in gold in those days.
I know you were a fan of spices yourself.
Oh, I mean, I have to be because I'm an Indian. I eat all Indian curries. No curry can be made without spices.
I just think you haven't tried boiled egg on toast.
Boiled egg on toast? No. That is not spicy at all.
Nowadays, Kerala has a new trade, tourism, and thousands of visitors sail the backwaters in rice boats like these every day.
They were originally used to transport goods like rice, coconuts, fruits like bananas on the backwaters because there were no roads in those days. All the transportation used to happen on the waterways.
Well, at one time that would be the most efficient way of getting stuff around.
Exactly,
Right.
Gigi's family have farmed on the backwaters for generations, but now he owns a fleet of houseboats. And the design of these hulls dates back 1,500 years. Amazingly, they're held together entirely by rope.
What is this rope made of that they use?
Coir.
From
Coir.
Is that a plant?
Coconut. Coconut fibers.
Coconut fibers.
Use that and to make these coir ropes, and they use that to stitch the hull together.
And is coconut used a lot here? Because I see a lot of coconut trees around.
Yes, Kerala means basically land of coconuts because it's Kera means coconut. Coconut has to be there in literally every dish in Kerala. So whether you grate it into the food or cook it in coconut milk or coconut oil, everything has to be cooked in coconut
So what if you wake up one morning and say, I don't fancy coconut today? What happens then? You starve.
You starve. You don't have much of a choice. No.
But joking aside, Kerala is facing some serious problems thanks to its democratically elected communist government.
There's a lot of unions in Kerala, so that has actually affected commerce in such a way that a lot of people don't want to set up industries here, primarily because of that. And these unions are actually promoted by the communist government. So all of this has actually been a
Some
detriment.
businesses are reluctant to come here because the unions are strong and they don't want a strong union.
Yeah.
So Kerala has now reached a crisis in terms of employment.
Let's face it, the younger generation, they don't want to be farmers anymore. Now with the new generation, it is like people are leaving the place, and they go to the Middle East, especially to Dubai. What we jokingly say is that about half of Kerala lives there, actually. They're not here, actually. So any household that you look here, there'll be one person from there who is actually working in the Gulf. That's the only reason why people are able to sustain themselves here, because there's money coming in.
Right, yes.
So Kerala's biggest export is no longer spices, but people. Coconut picking used to be an all-male profession, but now women seem to be heading for the top of the tree.
It's going up there too.
And in a most intriguing fashion.
So in the early days, there were skilled people who were doing this, and they never needed any equipment like this. But those people are not available anymore. So these women are using this specialized equipment to actually climb up and pluck the coconuts.
Yet another example of Indian ingenuity. And since we're in God's own country, it's not surprising the scheme should be run by a Catholic priest.
Hello, I'm Paul. Hello.
I'm Father Michael.
Hello, Father Michael. How are you?
Yeah, fine, thank you.
Somebody dropped them.
They're plucking the coconuts. Hi, George.
Thank you, Father Michael.
So who invented this?
A farmer from Malabar, Kannur side, he started the process, and now we are in discussion to have a more women-friendly plumbing machine.
So how would that be? It would be lighter for women?
Lighter
Okay.
and more secure and safe too.
So this seems a very good scheme all round then.
Right, it is doing very well. I mean, they started this about a year back, and from what he's telling me right now, it's been working very well for all of them.
Yeah.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Give the man a coconut. Thank you, sister. Yet another use for the ubiquitous coconut. An elephant loofah. Elephants are loved and revered in Kerala. They are the official state animal. These are temple elephants, and each one has up to 3 mahouts, a cross between a handler and a nanny. Beautiful creatures though they are, I've always found elephants a little scary. I've heard 1 or 2 tales of unpredictability, followed by mass carnage. So to help me get over my fears, George has come up with a make or break plan.
Oh my God. That's a big elephant.
Not only is he big, he's quite clearly not in a good mood.
I see he's chained up. Is there a reason for being
he's chained up because he's in heat right now. So,
really?
Yeah. So
he's got a sort of, there's a mad look in his eye, which is rather disturbing.
This is the mahout.
Hi.
This is Sunderesh.
Hello, I'm Paul. How long will he be in heat for?
It's about, he says about 4 to 4.5 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So has he been chained up here for 4 to 4.5 months?
Yeah.
What would happen if they brought a female elephant into this environment at the moment?
Now, this is exactly the kind of thing I was talking about earlier.
So, you see that pile of dung there? I might be rivaling that myself in a minute. These chains aren't made out of coconut fibre, are they?
No. They're definitely made out of strong steel.
Okay. I'm heavily reminded of the film King Kong, where he's chained up in the theatre before he rampages through New York. That didn't stop him.
This elephant's testosterone level is currently 60 times the norm. When elephants are like this, it's not uncommon for mahouts to be seriously injured or even killed. And Sunderesh has had some close calls.
The elephant caught him by the arm over here and picked him up and just moved him around and then shook him violently and then bit his finger off.
Oh, you were lucky to lose just a
very lucky.
Very lucky. And it hasn't put you off elephants?
ആനയൊന്നും പേടിയൊന്നുമില്ലല്ലോ അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട്
അതിന് മുപ്പാട് കുറെ തട്ടിയൊക്കെ ഇട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട് കുത്തിയിട്ടുണ്ട്
അപ്പൊ ഇപ്പൊ പേടിയെല്ലാം മാറിയത്
പേടിയില്ല
He's been with elephants since the age of 12 and he's been knocked about by elephants for all those years, so he's not scared of the elephant. In fact, it gets rid of his fear.
That's a crazy logic, but
and it's certainly not a logic that will ever work for me. Sorry, George. I'm heading north from Kerala across the border into Tamil Nadu. Another rather beautiful backwater, but this time without the water. India has a powerful tradition of mysticism and spiritualism. The people I met in Kolkata, for instance, clearly believed in the holy power of the Ganges, and that was a major city. Out here in the countryside, I imagine those beliefs and superstitions will be even more ingrained. In this small rural town, a group of holy men are putting on a show for the locals. The chief holy man has now gone into a trance, apparently possessed by a god. I'm here with Vasanth, an Indian magician. he believes that people are all too often deceived into mistaking street magic for a form of spiritualism or religion.
So it's better off name, no?
Yes, the shoes are made of
name. The Holy Spirit in him is able to resist that. He's able to bear with that. And he's not himself. That's what it is.
I see, okay.
The crowd is totally enthralled, and they're queuing up to receive his godly ministerings.
They believe that the God is in him now, and they ask the blessings and they tell their agonies to him.
Agonies, by the way, are agonies to me or you. But either way, these people do seem more than happy to part with some of the little money they have.
People believe in superstition. From the childhood days, we used to tell the kids, hey, don't do this. If you do this, God will punish you. Hey, don't do this. If you do this, God is going to poke your eye. You know, this kind of things have been put into the kids' mind, and they start believing it so seriously.
You make it very clear when you're doing your magic that it is for entertainment.
Absolutely, yes. It looks like supernatural, but we don't claim that we are gods.
In order to prove his point, Vasanth now plucks two men from the crowd.
Right? In the side. Hey, close tighter. Paul, you keep your finger like so. You keep your finger like so, alright? You are going to touch his forehead with that kumkumam. Okay? You have to touch that red stuff. They believe that this has a religious power.
So I touch this now?
Yeah. Okay. Excuse me. Yeah, that's enough. That's enough. So you have it in your finger, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Paul, you have to rub that on his back fist.
Okay, on here, yeah?
Yeah, on the back fist. Yeah?
Okay,
right.
yeah.
Now watch this. இந்த கையில காமிங்க இப்படி ஒண்ணும் இல்லைன்னா இந்த கை இந்த விரல என் கையில தொடுங்க shock you feel the power open your hand and there you see inside.
Wow. What did you think when you just saw this trick? Did you have an explanation for it?
He's claiming that since I have some power with me and godly power, that is possible.
Yes.
So now if I want to take an advantage of him, I can do it. Sorry, என் கை எப்படி மெதுவா தொடுங்க. You felt the shock? No. Now he's mentally prepared to believe anything.
Yes. Yes.
But there's no shock. You touch me? Nothing.
That afternoon, Vasanth took me to another village, just a few miles up the road, where a rather extraordinary group were about to put on a show of their own. Known as the Godbusters, these people are followers of Periyar Ramasamy, an Indian social reformer who believed that men of religion often capitalize on superstition to exploit the uneducated masses. His followers travel the countryside demonstrating that apparent miracles and illusions performed by holy men are at best feats of endurance.
What is it they're chanting there?
This is a political party where they say there's no God and there's no superstitious beliefs, and those who believe in superstition are fools.
I see. So they've demonstrated that this is nothing to do with God, this is like the human spirit.
It's human spirits, nothing to do with the God.
Unfortunately, they've chosen to put on their demonstration right in front of the local temple.
Oh, the ice cream vans arrived. Anybody want a mibby?
Yeah, the sound comes from the temple. That is opposing, they are trying to oppose the whole thing.
Yes.
The guy with the orange dhoti, he's a believer in God.
Yeah.
And what he's trying to say is, this is a ground which belongs to the temple. He says, do it anywhere and do anything, but don't ever do it in front of God where we believe that God is there.
Unperturbed, the Godbusters now move on to their grand finale. adding injury to insult.
He's going to pull the car with a hook.
Not on his own, of course. That would be just plain ridiculous. His friends agree to help. And clearly not for the first time.
He has done more than 150 times.
150 times?
Yes. These are all the marks.
How do you manage to do that?
See, they segregate the skin layers into 7. Okay, this is the 3rd layer. Yeah.
So why do you put yourself through this pain to demonstrate the...
என்ன சொல்ல விரும்புறீங்க?
We are educate the people. Only for manpower, it is not God power.
They say don't fear for God because there is no
money
God.
also.
Don't waste your money putting donations to God. Don't do it because God will not help you. That's what they try to say.
I see, okay.
Not, of course, a message the more devout locals want to hear. But it's showtime again. 1.5 tons of 4x4 takes to the road, courtesy of 3 layers of skin and a lot of determination. If the bottom ever drops out of God busting, there's a career in breakdown recovery for these two. Rather unwisely, in my opinion, the driver now steers a path right in front of the temple. The effect is not entirely unpredictable. Strangely, the Godbusters don't look too troubled by this flare-up. I suppose if you've spent the afternoon sticking skewers through your face, the odd punch in the nose would come as light relief. Judging by this lot, I think it will be a while before rationalism triumphs over myth and superstition in rural India. But maybe that's as it should be. Maybe India would then lose the very thing that makes it such a unique country. Either way, it's definitely time for me to lead an alternative charge back to the safety of the hotel bar. A movement I like to call the Thirst Busters. In the next programme, I meet India's deadliest snakes.
He'll try and bite.
Well, that's all we've got time for. Go on the piste in Hyderabad,
put on a pair of boots, put on a coat, and walk into Switzerland.
Have my portrait painted by a man and his tongue.
My life would be completely different if I could do that.
And deliver 10,000 Indian takeaways to a jail in Bangalore.
There's not been a prison built that can hold me. I'll have us out in a week.